Hello, and welcome to Level 8, the final level of this Part 1, which is all about visualizations. Now, in this level, what we're going to do is look at all the other things that we need for the exam that don't quite fit into the rest of the course easily, or some of the topics may be quite difficult, or some of the features are actually new and have been introduced into Power BI after this course was first created. And with Microsoft introducing new features every month, then there are bound to be some interesting things coming up. So to start off with, I want to talk to you about quick measures. Now, part 3 of this course is about how to write DAX formulas. And we'll be talking about calculated columns and measures in that particular part. Well, what these quick measures allow us to do is go beyond what we've been able to do, and it sort of bridges between writing your own DAX code and getting the computer to do a little bit for you. So let's see what's available. First of all, I've loaded the HPI admins source, and I'm going to add a column chart, and I'm going to add the date hierarchy in the axis and the sales volume in the values. And what I'm able to do, because it's a hierarchy, I'm able to drill in, and I'm just going to drill in to the month. So we can see for any particular year, like 1995, that we have these fluctuations. But what would it look like if we had the total up to the end of that year, from the beginning of that year to the end of that year? I mean, we would eventually have these yearly graphics, but what if we wanted it every month? So in January we got 8,600 and February 8,900. Well, what if we could show 8,600 plus 8,900 together, so that would be 17,500 or so. This is the sort of thing that you can do with quick measures. To introduce a new quick measure, click on the little arrow next to any measure and go to New Quick Measure. Now, it's this select calculation that we need to do first. And you can see that there are an awful lot of potential calculations. Now, do be careful. Some of these can get complicated, like the average per category. You have to specify what the field is as well as the category. And if you don't have anything there, you can just drag it in. So it could be date, it could be year of date, for instance. So whatever calculation you do, it will give you an idea of what is needed. Now I want a year-to-date total. This is part of the time intelligence. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see it's filled it in based on what I currently have. I currently have the sum of sales volume, and I currently have the year and month shown. So it's filled these in. So you can see that's all I have to do. I have to say what sort of calculation it is, and the computer can make an intelligent guess as to what these parameters are going to be. And you can highlight over these little eye symbols, and it tells you what information it's looking for. So let's click OK. And we'll see in the right hand side under the fields a new field created called Sales Volume Year to Date. And it's now got two values. I'm going to get rid of the original sales volume. And you can see that for February, we now have a total of 17,600. And it resets each year, which is exactly what we asked it to do. Let's create a new quick measure. And this quick measure is going to be a year-on-year change. So we're going to be comparing, say, March 1996 with March 1995. So again, you can see the computer has auto filled in a fair bit. It's filled in, well, you want the sales volume year to date. No, I don't. I actually just want the sales volume itself. What is your time period, your date field? Date, number of periods. Well, I'm going to say 1 year. Click OK, and you can see that the computer has now changed so that it's giving a percentage of what it is compared to the previous year. And if we don't want to see it per month, or this is a hierarchy, we can just drill up and we'll be able to add legends. We'll be able to see 2008 being a particularly bad year, and we'll have so much information about this that it just expands the amount of things that you can report on. So you've got rolling averages. For instance, I could say I want the average over the last 3 months, or we could do a month-on-month change or running total, or we can add, subtract, multiply and division, things that are fairly easy in DAX when we get to DAX formulas in part 3, but not so easy right now. And then finally, if you click on any of these measures, and you can see they're calculated measures, they have a calculator right next to them, you can see the code that's behind it. Now, don't be frightened. You don't need to be able to recreate this code, except when you get into part 3 of this course, you will be able to know what calculate is and sum and data add, what each of these do, and then you'll be able to use these as the basis of your formulas and expand it as you wish. So, quick measures are a way of expanding what you are able to report on without having to use any formulas. And to get into it, you just click on the drop down for any measure and say New Quick Measure. Just a few words of warning about quick measures. First of all, it's not available with all models. So, for instance, if you are using something that's called direct query, then certain measures can't be used because they aren't supported, they slow the computer down. Additionally, and perhaps more significantly, if you are in a locale that uses a comma as a decimal separator, for instance 4.5 is not 4.5 but 4.5, then at the time of recording, quick measures won't actually work properly. So you may need to modify the formula for it to work, maybe changing the commas for semicolons. It does seem to be a bit of a hole in all of this quick measures. It's a hole that hopefully they will fill in at some point. But these are quick measures. They are there to kickstart the creation of new measures. This little visualization with a year-on-year percentage change. But what are the figures behind this? Well, to see some of the figures, you can click on the ... and go to Show as Table. So this allows you to see the figures together with the graph. Now notice that the table that we've got at the bottom is at the same level of granularity as the graph. The graph is in years, the table is in years as well. Now what if you wanted to go deeper? Well, you could always drill down into the hierarchy. And here we have the year and the month. Now, it's all very well being able to see it here, but we can't really manipulate it well. We need to export it into Excel or something else to really be able to see the figures. And we can do that again by clicking on the ... the More Options label up here, and going to Export Data. So I'll click on the Export Data, and here we can see it's exporting as sales volume year on year, so that's the value's name, by year. Click Save, and there it's exported. So now let's import it into Excel. So if you get Excel, and you go File, Open, and go to the folder, make sure that you're either looking at all files, or you're looking at text files, so you can see this CSV comma separated values. Now we need to import it in as delimited and using a comma as a delimiter. So here is our data. Now notice what we have got. First of all, we have got the file called by year, but it's exported it by month. So it allows us to get deeper into the data. Secondly, it's not giving us all of the data. All of the data would include, for instance, the 6 different regions. We haven't got any of that. Instead, we have basically got what you can see as the necessary fields for creating this visualization. Now, do you want more fields? For example, wouldn't it be nice to actually have the sales volume? Well, the best way to do that is to add sales volume as a tooltip. So it doesn't actually alter the visualization apart from the fact you can see it in tooltip. You can see it when you show as table, but equally importantly, you can see it when you export the data. So let's export the data. Notice the file name is a bit different. It now says and sales volume. Let's go back into Excel. Let's open it. Again, delimited, comma, separated values. And now we've got the sales volume. And notice that we now start in 1995. Previously, we had 1996. And the reason for that is it was a year-on-year calculation. And there is no calculation from the first year. You can't go back a year. So if you were missing a year, you wouldn't know it from this particular export. However, now we've exported the sales volume, you can see the difference. And you can also say, okay, what is one sales volume divided by the other minus 1? Let's make sure that this calculation is in fact correct. And as you can see, yes, it is. So export data. It allows you to export it from Power BI to a comma separated value, but it only exports the things that you need to be able to see how a particular visualization has been